So I know the one question that everyone needed help on was on number 3, which is f of x is equal to x squared minus 3 over x minus 1 on the interval 2 through 5, and it's the mean value theorem. So what the mean value theorem tells us is that number 1, it has to be continuous, and number 2, it has to be differentiable. So we can tell it's continuous because of the denominator in this case. So basically what we don't want is a 0 there. So if we plug in these two values, we see that we don't get a 0. So that's why it's continuous. And it's differentiable because of the way it's set up. You see how it's a quotient? That means we can't find the derivative of a quotient. So because of that, those two things, that guarantees that f prime of c is equal to f of b minus f of a over b minus a. So if you want to look for the derivative first, you would break it up into quotient, and that's where we have the f is equal to x squared minus 3, g is equal to x minus 1, g prime is 1, f prime is 2x because of the power rule. So our quotient rule tells us that f prime times g minus f times g prime over g squared is the derivative. So we would start plugging in. So it'd be 2x x minus 1 minus x squared minus 3 over x minus 1 squared. So we can distribute this 2x in there, we can distribute this negative in there, and we can expand this. So what we end up with is 2x squared minus 2x minus x squared plus 3 over x squared minus 2x plus 1. And these two are like terms, so we would combine them. So our final answer for the derivative, not for the complete question, would be x squared minus 2x plus 3 over x squared minus 2x plus 1. So now that we have our f prime of c, we can look for f of b, and we would do so by putting these values into the x's. So for instance, for 5 it would be 5 squared minus 3 over 5 minus 1 minus 2 squared minus 3 over 2 minus 1. So then all over 5 minus 2, I forgot to put that there. So 5 squared is 25 minus 3 is 22. So that's 22 over 5 minus 1, which is 4, minus 2 squared minus 3 would be 1, and then 2 minus 1 is 1, all over 3. And to make this easier, we can actually write that as 11 over 2 minus 1 over 3. So here in this step, we would have to combine this, and we would do so by putting it over 1 and multiplying by 2. So we end up with 11 over 2 minus 2 over 2 over 3. So that gives us 9 over 2 over 3, and we keep change flip. So 9 over 2 times 1 over 3. This cancels, and this becomes a 3. So our final answer for the f of b minus f of a over b minus a is 3 over 2. So since we have our f prime and the f of b minus f of a, we can equal them to each other because that's what the mean value theorem tells us. So now we have x squared minus 2x plus 3 is equal, or over x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 3 over 2. So here we would solve by x by cross multiplying. So we're 3x squared minus 6x plus 3 is equal to 2x squared minus 4x plus 6. And basically here is when you multiply, you're going to have to end up distributing like this 3 to every single one and this 2 to every single one. But here in this step, now we just have to move everything over to one side and see what that gives us. So this 2 would go with the 3, this negative 4x with the negative 6x, and this 6 with the 3. Now be careful because like here we have a positive 2x squared, so we would subtract, so that gives us x squared. A negative 4x we would have to add to the negative 6, so that gives us plus 2x. This plus 6 we would have to subtract, so that gives us a negative 3 equals 0. So I'm gonna move it over here. So basically what we have now is x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. No, oops, sorry, I messed up, sorry. It becomes minus 2x because plus 4x, you get a negative. So basically what we're going to do here is factor. And the two numbers that when you subtract give you a 2 is 1 and 3. And we want a negative middle term, so that means that the greater number gets the negative symbol. So we would equal both of these to 0, so we have x plus 1 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals to 0. And we find out that our x values are equal to negative 1 and 3. But if you remember our interval, it's 2, 5. Negative 1 does not fall into this interval and only 3 does. So that's why the final answer is x equals 3.